Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of The Hard Choice. My name is Brad Draper. I'm grateful for you. It has been a couple of weeks since I've been able to record. It's been wild. I've had to pivot. Welcome to life, right? Pivoting right out of the gate first of the year. I was in a studio. I was in my office where I was, and I got booted out. So I was grateful to have been in there for quite a few number of months. And my buddy that I was using it with, it's his facility. He needed it for his company. And so I had to scramble a little bit. I had to find a new place to sit down and have an office. Well, therefore, I lost my studio. I lost all the things that I was doing. And I kind of got out of rhythm, which totally sucked. How often does that happen in life? Happens all the time, right? We get thrown out and we kind of have to scramble. We have to figure it out. So many people look back on that time and say, if that didn't happen, I could have done this. Well, if this happened, I could have done that. That's not true. One of my favorite quotes, I've said it on this show before, and I'll say it again because it bears repeating. What happened could not have happened any other way because it didn't. I want you to think about that. What happened in your life because if it could have happened another way, it did. It would have, but it didn't. It happened that one way. Therefore, that was the only way that it could have actually happened. Something to think about. But the topic I really want to get on today was an experience I had a couple of weeks ago. Now, this experience I did last year, it's called Suckfest. I talked about it at the end of 2023 as a way to build momentum. If you go listen to the episode Momentum Builder, I talk about it. Now I want to talk about my learnings, those things that I gathered from this experience. For those that haven't listened to that episode, I did what is called a Misogi. If I remember right, it's the Shinto warriors. What they would do was they would go through training. These are basically samurai. They would go through training. Their final test was they had to stand under an icy waterfall and not leave until their master told them they can leave. That time could be anywhere from hours to a full day of standing underneath this icy waterfall. The idea is it has to suck, and it has to suck really bad, like exceptionally bad. It's supposed to be something that the vast amount of human society would never even consider doing, let alone execute. So I did my Misogi. What I did was I walked Saturday night, December 30th, from sundown, which was, if I remember right, 5:05 p.m. was the day that my watch said sundown officially started, and I headed out the door. I had previously mapped a 4.1 mile loop that ended and began at my house, and I did that loop, coming home, getting food, getting hydration, going to the bathroom, those kinds of things. I did that loop a total of 8 times by 7:52 a.m. the next day. I walked 33 miles in total. I went down my street and back, which is 0.2 miles. So 33 miles in total over a 15-hour window. I did it by myself. I had invited several people, and to my own learning, I should have broadcasted it earlier, but I didn't. And that is a lesson, right? I didn't broadcast it because I didn't want to set myself up to be disappointed in other people. I now know that. And I will do better in 2024 for my Misogi when I do my overnight walk again in December. But I'll broadcast it earlier and invite people earlier to give them an opportunity to participate. However, I did not this time. And I had a few people that I had one person that said he would come and he ended up not making it. Had other people that said they wanted to. And then throughout the year, actually, people tell me, oh, that sounds awesome. I will definitely do it when you do it. Nobody showed up. Why? Because I'm walking overnight. It sucks. And that is just case in point. When I did it in 2023, I flew to Chino Hills, California to do it with a friend. This friend has 1 million followers on social. He broadcasted it like crazy to join him from wherever you are. I think we counted a total of about 12 people, and that included the 8 in our group. That was 2 full families and then us that did it. It was like 12 people in the world that we knew of that ended up actually doing it out of the 1 million followers. What did I learn? What did I gather? Doing exceptionally difficult things has a way of clearing your mind. If you've never done something like this, I highly encourage you to pick up your bootstraps, quite literally, and get it done. I had a very close friend. I told her what I was doing while I was doing it. I was on the phone with her for about an hour during this walk of mine. And New Year's Eve into New Year's Day, she went out into an icy lake and cold plunged in the icy lake for about 8 minutes. That's exceptionally hard. And she did that totally raw, which is awesome and very eloquent, right? It is very allegorical in nature. But the idea is to have this purification of self. It's to really shed off who you were and to become somebody new. So I'm going to pull my phone up here and I'm going to pull out. I took notes while I was doing this because I didn't really want anything to get away from me on what I was learning in the very moment that I was learning it. Here's a question that we've all heard. I'd venture to say you've heard this, which is, what would you do in life if you knew you couldn't fail? Ponder that question for a second. Pause this episode if you must. What would you do in life if you knew you couldn't fail? While I was walking and this question popped up, I ended up listening to 5 books that weekend. Yeah, 5 books is what I listened to during that walk, and then a subsequent event where I was on a very 15-hour long drive. 2 15-hour events back to back. And my immediate response was exactly what I'm doing. I wouldn't change it. I'd do exactly what I'm doing at the exact same pace that I'm doing it. I am giving it my all. How cool is that? And I ask the question to you, if you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do? And then my follow-up question is, if you are not doing that, if your answer is not the same as mine, why not? Why don't you go do that thing that if you knew you couldn't fail, you would do? Here's the thing. It's not possible to fail if you don't give up. It's not possible. You might learn a lot of things. You will learn a lot of things, but you will not fail. You may take change in course. You may deviate a little bit. You may pivot. And in fact, you will pivot. And that's okay because you're figuring out as you go. But it's not possible to fail if you don't give up. Number 2, the power of loving people despite their actions is one of the most powerful places on earth to be in. The power of love. I resided in love. I was on the phone from 5:05 p.m. to approximately 10:30 p.m. from people calling me, checking in, asking how it's going, just talking with me. So I wasn't completely alone. And then from 10:30 p.m. to 7:58 a.m., I was alone. And it was grueling. It was tiring. 2 different times when I got home, I took a 15-minute nap, both of which I did while leaning my head on the countertop because I don't want to lay down, because I knew if I laid down, I would really pass out. So 2 15-minute naps to give me enough energy to do the next 4.1 mile loop. it was 27 degrees outside. And that last 8 miles or so was grueling. And then into Sunday, December 31st, oh wow, did I hurt tremendously. Everything started locking up, and I got in my cold plunge to help with the inflammation, but my joints and my tendons and my muscles, they were locking up like you can't imagine. And I mean, I've run a marathon and I hurt worse than that time than the marathon. I've done an Ironman and I hurt worse at that point in time than the Ironman, surely because of the duration of time on track. But loving people regardless, this is a level that I encourage you to try and get to, which is a level of unconditional love. It is a worthy goal to hit and that you should hit, but only 0.4% of society will ever hit it. Truly unconditional love for all humans, not just one person, but all people. Loving them for who they are, not for what they do. Number 3, you hear me all the time say this. Action precedes action, right? You've heard me say that one. Or where you focus, you find. Those are the 2 most common phrases I've ever said in this podcast. Action precedes action. I was listening to a man named Zig Ziglar on this walk, and he said, thought precedes action. Well, my action precedes action since my TED Talk last October has transformed into action precedes opportunity, or action precedes action and action precedes opportunity. You must take the action and then an opportunity arises. Well, Zig Ziglar says thought precedes action. So I've stacked Zig Ziglar's quote with mine. Thought precedes action and action precedes opportunity. Therefore, thoughts precede opportunity. It is in your thoughts that your world happens. It's in your thoughts that the opportunities to do whatever you want in life, literally whatever you want. It is your thoughts that precede that. You must understand that everything in your world, everything you've ever seen, ever known, was once a thought. This microphone, this video on YouTube, if you're watching the YouTube, shameless plug, watch the YouTube. This recording device, all this technology was once a thought in somebody's mind, and many people probably called them crazy, saying, one day we will talk to each other, great distances, face to face. Think about that and how impactful that is. But thought precedes action, and action precedes opportunity. And to keep things a little bit shorter, Zig also said, your imagination is the preview of your life. Your imagination is the preview of your life. Ponder that for a brief moment. How often do you imagine? How often do you meditate and just sit back and think? And the act of thinking is asking and answering questions to yourself. It's not letting the commentary of your life just kind of pass you by, just this voice, just commentary in your life, but actually delving into solving problems. That's what really makes us happy, is problem solving. That's why you find joy in the journey. It's solving problems. So those were my learnings from my Misogi that I wanted to share with you. They were impactful. I knew Misogis were beautiful. I knew it the first time I did one in 2022. I did my second one in 2023, and I plan on doing them every year moving forward because of how impactful they truly are. They really do create you into a new person. It's amazing what happens when you just do something that utterly sucks and you do it anyways. And you take one step in front of the other, 1 foot at a time. I challenge you to take these things that I learned, ponder on them, and apply them to your life. Maybe they don't apply. but I'm going to go on a limb and say they do. I am grateful for you. I love you so dearly. I have had such cool conversations because of this podcast. I had one today. Beautiful. I had one yesterday. Splendid. I love them. I am grateful when you guys reach out to me and tell me of your experiences and your learnings and how you're progressing in life because of these episodes. I know I am. Continue to have these conversations. Share these episodes with your friends and family. That is the only way this show grows. Like this thing, subscribe to it, download it for future listenings. Until next week, I love you guys. Bye.